it going?
It's going well. It's going well. We have a exciting episode tonight on knowledge or nonsense. Some amazing guests.
Yes.
Tonight's topic is missteps and mistakes. Missteps and
Yes.
mistakes.
Yes.
We all make them.
We make them every day. I am excited to host this part of the show. It's National Women's History Month, and tonight, except for you, it's all women on the show. Professional women in the field of sterilization processes, and we're excited to share our views on missteps and mistakes that are made in sterile processing. You know, we spend a lot of time pointing fingers at the OR and what they didn't do and how they did and all of these things, when in actuality, we need to focus on what we're doing. And every day, the mistakes that we make can impact a patient's life.
Yeah, it's so important that we are able to identify the mistakes so we can correct them. You know,
yes,
because many mistakes can be a learning opportunity to learn and grow from. Now, if you're not learning and growing from it, that's a problem. That's big
right. Problem. And we are allowed, you know, in hospitals every day, mistakes are made. I dare say I've been doing this over 30 years. I have not seen anybody that has made the mistake get fired. But it is something that we have to address, and we have to put some accountability behind it. You can't just let it go and act like it didn't happen.
So true. So true. I'm looking forward to our guests coming in tonight. We work in a special industry, a lot different when you make a mistake in, say, health and hospitality or food industries than healthcare. You know, some mistakes can't be retracted. So it's important that we learn from them the first time.
Right. And I'm excited to host with you, to co-host with you tonight in the place of Sharon Combs. It's
Sharon
and Luane show. People will say it's always the Sharon and Luane show, but it's Sharon Greene Golden tonight with Luane.
That's right. We're going to have a blast here on Knowledge and Nonsense. So we'll take a quick good evening, Veronica. We'll have our producers bringing our other guests, and we'll do some rounds of introductions after we get the conversation going. We have a lot of questions already starting to come in. Sharon, you always bring the crowd. No matter where you go, people are following. So we're fortunate to have you co-host tonight's episode.
Thank you. I'm glad to co-host, and I'm glad to know somebody's following me. You know, just on a side note, I have a, Twitter account that I really don't do. And I have so many followers. I'm asking where they following me to, because I don't go nowhere. I don't say nothing on Twitter. But every day I get a new follower. So I'm not a person taking a walk. I got a group behind me, and that's exciting.
That's very exciting. Where are you these days?
Huh?
Where are you located these days?
I am located in Northern Virginia, but I work in Rockville, Maryland. So I'm in the DMV. I also work at Shady Grove Medical Center in Rockville, and I manage the fort. We call it the fort. I manage the fort down by the National Harbor, and I also give insight sometimes to Howard University. So I'm excited about that.
Wow. Welcome, ladies. Welcome, Monique,
Hello.
Tanya, Arlene. We got a whole podcast tonight.
Yes. We have a great cast tonight. None of them are shy, Luane.
We're hearing some reverb. So what we're going to do, if we're not all talking, if we can, I'll mute my mic if you're speaking, and vice versa. So we want our audiences to hear you ladies loud and clear. Ms. Tanya Lewis, tonight's topic is mistakes and mishaps. Now, during your mistakes and mishaps, during your career, what are some mistakes you saw early on as a technician?
Ooh, you're trying to take me way, way, way back, Luane. I have seen the mistakes of people, oh my goodness, throwing things away. And I'm still seeing them today. Okay, that happened a long time ago. We threw away sternal saws. We threw away leg positioners. You know, the OR tossed them, and we never found them again. So, you know, we don't, obviously they went to the trash somewhere. But yeah, that's the thing that really, really bothers me about things getting tossed and people not being accountable for that. We have to be accountable for what we do.
Ms. Lewis, did you say a leg positioner? Did I hear
a leg
that right?
positioner? A leg positioner, yes.
You know how some folks don't know.
Listen, this just happened. The piece from the stool bird where you put your leg in, it's gone.
Just walked away.
It didn't come back.
Interesting. That's one for the records. Arlene, how's it going, my friend?
I'm well, sir. How about yourself?
It's great to see you. So, mistakes and mishaps. I know I've made many in my career. I got some in the burn marks to prove it. What mistakes have you seen in your career?
I've seen low temp cameras steamed. I've seen TEE probes left in high level disinfectant for over a week. I've seen the same with missing instruments from the OR, like the Alvarado boot was thrown away. Many occasions, laparoscopic trocars that I've actually had to go into the dumpster to get. So plenty of things I've seen over my career that have been mishaps for sure.
And so interesting. Miss Monique, how about yourself? What mistakes or mishaps have you seen in your journey as a technician?
Well, let me tell you.
Oh, goodness.
When I first started in sterile processing, we had gas sterilization, ETO. Mm-hmm. I blew up 2 days in a row, a flexible gastroscope, 2 days in a row.
Didn't put the cap on.
Didn't put the cap on, blew the scope up. So that was like gut wrenching, couldn't believe it. I come from surgery, so I couldn't believe that I did this nonsense, mishap and nonsense 2 days in a row. But you know what? It taught me a lot about paying attention to detail.
Yes.
When you come from the OR and you go to sterile processing, you think you got it, you think you know, and when you do the mistake that cost the hospital thousands of dollars, you tend to self-correct really quickly. But let me tell you about this one incident, and a lot of people could relate to this. Back in the day, I had this big, huge afro, and I was working midnight shift, and I was by myself building a whole bunch of sets, getting them ready for next day in the morning. And there was no tracking system at this facility that I was working at. And I couldn't find my ink pen. Mm-hmm. And then you had to write on the count sheet. So you had the count sheet, you wrote on the count sheet. And I built a whole sterilization rack full of instruments, just set after set. It had to be about 20, 25 instrument sets. I put them all on a rack and got ready to build my last one. Got ready to put my last one on the rack. And you had to log everything that you put on the rack on this paper. And I couldn't find my ink pen. Mm-hmm. I knew, you couldn't tell me. I knew it was in one of those sets. Mm-hmm. So I stood there and I looked at that rack and I opened up the last set I built and the pen wasn't in there. And so I was sick to my stomach because I knew the pen was in one of those sets. So I was faced with a dilemma. Do I open up every set until I find a pen, or do I take the hit for the set, making it to the OR and they find the pen? Mm-hmm. I prayed about it. I said, I'm going to take the hit. I'm not getting ready to open up all these sets and redo them again. I just wasn't going to do it. It was late at night. It had to be about 1 o'clock in the morning. So I go in the locker room and I'm praying to God, Lord, help me through this. And I get in the locker room. I'm changing my clothes. I take my hat off and the ink pen was stuck in my afro. Won't he do it?
Yes.
Wow, that's a great story.
Yes, you don't know how many times ink pens, our markers have been found.
Yes.
In the tray. And I tell, and to me, so it's missteps, Mr. LaWayne. I tell people that's a misstep.
Yeah.
Losing your pen. But I tell my team always, if you started with a pen and when you ended, you didn't have a pen, you need to find the pen.
Yes.
That's
because
right.
the OR is going to eat us up when they find the pen.
So true.
Not only have you messed up instrumentation, but it doesn't fare well for us as professionals that we couldn't keep up with our pen.
Yeah.
So touche. I was on working on an assignment, and it was a big union hospital. And what happened in this facility, black magic marker ended up in a tray. And, you know, that's a misstep. Right? That's not a mistake. That's a misstep.
Right.
So the Sharpie ended up in the tray, but rather than, you know, the OR came down hard and heavy as they should have. In this facility, because of the environment, we had to actually draft a policy around black magic markers around that. And it sounds kind of crazy, right? Before you know it, magic markers, the magic marker inventory was getting depleted. There were magic markers everywhere. Right. This was no longer a mistake or mishap. This was now a sabotage. So it's so important that we share these stories with the next generations, so they know how to differentiate a mistake from mishap and how to really navigate.
You know, just before we go on, I wanted to read this specifically. That I actually did an article on missteps and mistakes, and that's why I'm hot on this. But we have to understand that a misstep is considered a blunder, not badly judged. Take her with you. Whereas a mistake is an action or judgment that is misguided or wrong. There's a distinct difference between a little misstep.
You read that again.
A misstep is considered a blunder or a badly judged step. So you didn't have your pen, you kept on moving, you left the pen in the tray. That's a blunder. You know, you didn't mean to really do that. A mistake is different. The mistake is an action or judgment that is misguided or wrong. Judgment, simply put, is the ability to make considered decisions.
Wow.
So when you make a mistake, you had to use your judgment to move on.
Yeah, like not paying attention to putting a cap on that scope.
Right.
That I blew up.
Right. And you know, everybody's been in the hospital. Come on in here, Arlene, where we've blown up the scope. We look crazy, but when you see the scope blown up, you know you blew it up. And it does make you feel sick, because you know that's thousands of dollars that you've done. And the sad part is that you were taught to put the cap on the scope. And so at my hospital, because we can't seem to always remember, we now have to have a second signature that says somebody else saw the cap on the scope.
That's right.
That takes away time from putting a tray up.
It's so much there. And I hear some reverb there. Volume down. For our technicians out there, right? We absolutely know the emotional discomfort you have when your name is attached to that scope, that camera, that lock control gun. Listen, I'm about 6'2", 230 pounds. I remember as a technician, I cried. I just wanted the bathroom and said, oh, it's over. I'm gonna lose my little job. It's over. So we have to also make sure our leaders, our managers, understand what their team are going through. There's a lot of emotions and heart and challenges going to what we do. Arlene, what are your thoughts? How many are you with the Melted Lock Control Gun Club? Because I should be president. I don't know.
I've certainly blown up my scopes, my share of scopes in my career. I certainly have. I just had 2 scopes blown up this week by a technician, who is a veteran technician, right? But she was horrified that she had done this, and this has never happened to her before. And I had to reiterate to her in front of the rest of the team, hey, I've done that before, okay? I've done it before, because we were hurrying to try to get through things and make sure we have all these bases covered. We forgot the simple things.
You know, and
the process.
I think it's big when we testify in sterile processing. When you testify in sterile processing, it helps other people. You know, you give your testimony of the sin that you created, and it guides people into righteousness later on.
It guides some people, because you know some people don't listen. You know, there's a difference.
That's true.
It's a difference between listening and hearing. Some people don't listen. They heard you, but they didn't listen. You know, I said you have children that you have children. You say at the stove, hot, don't touch. You have children who will not touch. They'll be like hot, and they'll move on. But you always got that one that puts their hand on the stove.
True.
And burn. And they say hot. Now they understand. They got the understanding. So even though we testify and we share, you always got a tech or two that make a mistake. And usually, sometimes, I'm going to talk about my group, if they're veteran, like Arlene said, they will stand there and say, nope, I didn't do it. Ain't no way.
You know what? And in that sense right there, what has to happen, I think, is that we're doing such fast pace. You got to do this, you got to do that. We got this to do, we got that to do. And my people, I just had this conversation with them today about the leg holder. You know, the leg holder came back and the big piece was not. And I said, where is it? They didn't send it back. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, they didn't send it back, but what did you do? What did you do to try to find it? Did you call to the OR and ask the charge nurse to tell the people to go look in the trash? Did you do any of that? Well, no, you didn't. So you're just as much a part of it as the OR, because you didn't even attempt to try to find it. So this happened yesterday. So then today they tell me about it, and I'm like, why are you telling me? I'm not going through the trash. The trash is gone.
No dumpster diving for me.
Exactly. But they had an opportunity. There was an opportunity there for my people to step up and go and say, listen, this leg holder came back and the piece that's very, very big is missing. Right. I did my last dumpster diving. And I said, this is my last one last year when the TPS drill whole set missing came back with not just the tray. And I'm like, what do you mean we just got just the tray? Where are the pieces? I don't know. And so my point to my team is, if we don't have the pieces, we can't put the drill up. We got to call the OR right away. We got to get them to try to catch the trash. The trash was already out in the little, at our hospital, we have the crusher. It was already in there. We got it just before they crushed. We called the OR, the people that were in the room. I was out there. We're all out there trying to go through the bag, holding people over into, it's just dangerous, the crusher to pull this drill out. We got all the pieces but two. Apparently, 2 pieces fell out while we were pulling the bag up. My point is, that's money. Absolutely. If we're going to throw away money, I would rather they threw the money in my check.
Hey. Say loud.
Well,
say loud.
Say loud. If we get that kind of money to throw away, let's just get it into my check. The importance of it. Now we're down a drill. So to the SPD, we're, as Tanya says, we're trying to turn things over. We have one less drill to turn over.
Yes.
That's right. It's so important, to our technicians out there, CS Nation, our nursing and surgical tech comrades. Listen, CS, we got to think about the whole picture, y'all.
The whole picture.
Everything. This is one big ecosystem. You know,
Yes.
Don't stop with you pushing into the sterilizer.
Yes.
We gotta understand what happens when these missteps or mistakes occur. And with that, we're gonna take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back. Here on Now. Wow. Sharon Combs, Hold Your Form is a must-have.
Yes.
Must-have. You know, there's a term, common sense, and there's nothing common about common sense. So we want to put that aside and talk about another term called sterile consciousness, right?
Yes.
That term sterile consciousness, it allows us to forecast the next step and what happens next and what happens next and what happens next. Ms. Greene Golden, telling us what are some of the impacts of these mishaps or mistakes? What happens to the institution or the department?
Well, besides the loss of money, some of the mistakes actually harm a patient.
Yes.
So throwing the drill in the trash, okay, we threw away $45,000, okay, but to harm a patient, that's not what we're here for. Our job is to make sure that the instruments that we work with are working.
Right.
And I talk specifically about laparoscopic instrumentation, that we're supposed to be insulation testing. And I know that my lap tray has 22 pieces in it, but you have to check all 22. You can't check the first 12 and say they were fine and not do the rest, not do the other 10. You have to check all of them, because this is the deal. We may get away with it for 40, 50, 60 surgeries. But if you harm one patient, that's one patient too much. We actually have a picture of a laparoscopic instrument. This is the suction coagulator that actually had a pinhole in it, and it burned the patient's liver. Now this is they burn stuff all the time, but this was a really bad burn. When you look at it, you can see the burn at the end tip of the suction. You see the burn behind. So the burn behind is where the actual hole was, where it was laying. And when that fire arced out of that hole, it burned that liver, so much so that it excited the doctor. As I said, they burn patients every day with the laparoscopic stuff. But sometimes it's worse. And now we have a patient who's injured. We have it in a picture. We can't say it didn't happen. And we've got to take care of that patient and get them back to wholeness. And you know, when things happen, you may be all right, but as you think about it, you start getting sick. I'm sure this patient, their stomach is hurting every day. You know, your head is hurting. Your leg starts hurting, all kind of stuff happens, and you attribute all that stuff to that burn of your liver. But this is something that we did. This is a mistake. The person who actually did it is not at they're on vacation. I wanted to call them on vacation and say, let me tell you what you did, but I didn't, because you know that would ruin their vacation. But when they get back, we now have a Sentinel event we've got to go through.
Correct.
It's not acceptable.
I think that you know, just like we say, a conscience in the operating room. When I was a scrub tech, a surgical conscience, you know, and that holds true, just like Dwayne said, in sterile processing, because we may not be in the OR with the patient, but what we do is so vital to the correct outcome of that patient.
Yes.
And, you know, and this is the way I feel. I've always felt this way. You know, if you don't, I have to think about my family. I have to think about my family. That could be a member of my family. And if you don't have that mindset, and that's the way I was trained and from scrub tech all the way up until now. And so if you don't have that mindset that you got to think that could be me or one of my loved ones on that table, you have to have that mindset, and you have to have the integrity about yourself.
Yes.
To know that.
Absolutely.
Do no harm to any patient.
Right.
Not intentionally. Not intentionally. Right. We all make mistakes and mishaps come about, but not intentionally. You just can do no harm to a patient.
But when you don't check your installation of every instrument, that's not a misstep.
No, it's not.
That's a mistake. And that is the mistake that you had the judgment to make the decision not to check it. So you can't sit there and say, oh, what had happened was what happened was you didn't check your installation. Because had you checked it, you would have pulled that instrument out of service because it would have arced for you. Arlene, there's a question out there that says, what is a Sentinel event? Can you tell us what a Sentinel event is? What happened to Arlene?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sentinel event is when there's harm that comes to a patient that shouldn't have been, it shouldn't have happened, that wasn't in the plan or in the surgical plan. So we call that a Sentinel event, and we always want to find out the root cause of it.
That's right. And so, Arlene, thank you for sharing that. And it's so important that folks who work in SPD understand the importance of their role. And this is just a clear example. If you fail to do your job appropriately, if you fail to take necessary actions and recursive actions to prevent these measures, you can harm a patient. You can even kill a patient. It is happening. So when I hear or see the lack of passion for some members in our field of expertise, is almost mind-boggling, because they have to again connect what they do to who they are. Monique, what lessons can we learn from a Sentinel event such as this?
The first and foremost, it is how serious our job is. It is how important our profession is. The single most reason why sterile processing exists is to keep the patient safe, period.
Yes.
And when we fail to do that, and we bring a patient to a Sentinel event situation, we failed to do our job. We failed the facility that we work in, and we failed in achieving confidence towards those who trust us to do our job. One thing about insulation testing is that this is not something that's done at the operating room. Insulation testing is not done at the back table of a surgery room. This is one of those tests that we're doing that they shouldn't have to worry about using this instrument, sticking it down a tube, doing a laparoscopic surgery, and hoping that everything is okay. This is the single most important thing that we can do to ensure that the patient is safe without the surgery department or clinicians having to do a double check behind us.
Right.
So this one is our sole responsibility.
Yes. And we sit back and say, we're professional.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I got this. And then we don't do the few steps that are required to make sure a tray is safe. And now they no longer, there used to be, for real, that they called us the stupid people downstairs, and life went on, and we went on. But now we've stepped up and said, hold up, I'm not stupid. I know what I'm doing. I'm professional. I've been taught. I read the IFUs, and then
I'm certified.
We do not follow through. Right. And the difference is nowadays, Monique, they have pictures. They take pictures and save them. They don't just talk about it no more.
That's right.
They got the picture with the instrument on it saying, look, here it is. And we got a tracking system that allows us to track it to you, the professional technician. See, we say surgery starts in SP.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And unlike other professions, sometimes you can't get a do-over.
Yes.
Right. You cannot you cannot unburn this patient. Right.
Yes.
You cannot rewind that and take it back. It's not as if you were in a Starbucks drive-through and they forgot to give you an upside down mocha china. You take the cup back. Now you get a new one. Right. And in our profession, you don't get a redo. So it's so vital. Technicians, managers, leaders. You try your best, do it right the first time. If you're not sure what to do, what do you do, team?
You just ask somebody.
Ask somebody. Ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
You ask a question. What are some other that was major? That hit home for a lot of people. Right now, we have folks watching who know someone or was a victim of this type of foolishness. Veronica said, "I always ask a trainee, would you want the doctor to use these instruments on you or your loved one?"
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
that's right.
Exactly.
That's right. That hits home. That hits home, and we need to take that mindset when we're putting our trays together. Again, is that a mistake? No, that's not a mistake.
Yeah,
that's a major mishap.
I always tell the people that I'm training, that's going through the training program, the irony of your job is you build these instruments for yourself. So when you have the accident out in the parking lot and have to get rushed back into the hospital, God forbid you get your tray that you have did.
Yes. And it has happened. I actually had a young lady that told me, she said she put a Synthes tray together. She's at a trauma center. And a lot of people hate Synthes. To me, it's one of the easiest sets to do. It tells you the numbers. But anyway, she put the tray together. And she went on and she was in a car accident. They brought her back. And of course, they had to plate her leg. She said when she woke up and was back in her room, her team came to visit her. And the one thing they wanted to tell her laughing was, do you know what tray they used on you? She was like, what tray? They said, the one that you put up. She was like, I was like, thank you, Lord, that I do my job right every day.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
That's the tray that they pulled and used on me. And so we have to do it as if it's going to be for us. And we cannot afford to make mistakes. Surgery starts in sterile processing.
Yes.
And what we do matters. And we have to accept that.
Let me tell you a story. I was in sterile processing one of those times where I was building a bunch of trays. And I love to talk about this tray. It's a tympanoplasty set.
Oh my God.
It's a middle ear set. Okay. And so I like to challenge myself. Those sets that just they stay down because nobody wants to.
Nobody will touch them.
Nobody will do them until you absolutely see it on the schedule, and then you go build it, right? And I did this set, and I was very particular about what I was doing. But I went to sleep at night, and in my heart, I said, I don't think I flushed all those suctions. I don't think I ran a channel cleaning brush through all those suctions. I was just cringing. I was working, I decontaminated the set, plus I assembled it. I did both parts to this set. I was dedicated on making sure I took care of this set. And I couldn't sleep at night. I got up early in the morning, went to work, looked for the set with my name on it, pulled it off the shelf, and took it to sterile processing and flushed all the suctions. One of those suctions was clogged. And you just know, you ever go to bed at night after working, that's when you're really passionate and you really care about your job. When you carry that stuff home with you and you say, did I do everything that I know that I'm supposed to do to keep that patient safe? Right?
Yes. So now, Monique, we would like to hear from you because you're running for president.
I am.
HSPA.
I am.
Tell us why.
I'm so excited. So this term, this last term was my first term serving on the board. And so I did not really know what I was getting myself into being a part of the board. I knew I just wanted to be a part of our profession in a bigger way. So I accepted the nomination. But on this term of the board, with Tanya being the president, we were able to change the name and convince our members that we needed to be professional.
Yes.
Like we say that we are, with a new name and a new image. And so going through that whole work, Tanya didn't kill me. I know she wanted to a couple of times. Arlene was there, and I pushed. Exactly. You know, I felt passionate about certain things. I wouldn't let things just be the status quo. I said, no, we need to rethink this. We got to do it right, you know, and to see it come to pass and everybody going along with what we're trying to put out there, listening to our members say, hey, we want to be recognized. We're professionals. And then tying a new name to that was monumental. But this is what I know in my heart. That is only just the foot in the water, the toe in the water. We really have to push the agenda of quality, high reliability for sterile processing technicians. Get into those C-suites and those communities that don't know Healthcare Sterile Processing Association. What is it that we're doing? What we do know is that there are many sterile processing departments that fail, and therefore surgery fails, hospital doors close. Or Joint Commission comes in and say, hey, we're going to shut it down until you guys get it together. Now is the time. And, you know, with COVID, the iron is hot. It's time for us to now do the next steps. I said when I was talking last week on social media, you know, you change it. When you're a woman, you get married. It's Women's Month. You get married, you change your name, but that's just the beginning of the work. The work goes into the marriage. You got a lot of work to do when you change your name. That comes with responsibility. Wow. And so we changed our name. We changed our name. And now the next step is, who are we? This is our name. That's just a name, but who are we?
Take us on to the top, Monique. Girl. Yeah. Go ahead on with it.
Hey, we truly got some trailblazers on tonight. Go ahead, Tanya. I see it.
I'm just saying. I mean, you know, I never wanted to kill Monique. You know, we are here to show our members. We want to show our members. We want to show our communities that we are truly professionals. Yes, Veronica, we are professionals. And just like the people in the operating room are professionals, the people in the units are professionals, we're professionals too. And so we have to let everybody know. We need them to know exactly who we are and what we do and why it's so important. I had my CEO come, they do make their little rounds, and yesterday just wasn't a good day for us. And so he's like, so what's going good for you? And I mean, I just like looked at him and I'm like, nothing. He said, well, surely. So I said, listen to me. And he was just, I said, I need you to listen to me good. Listen, we need some people. I got 3 people leaving. We need some people, and there's nobody out there that's knocking on the door, filling out an application. So what I'm saying to you today is I need some travelers, and I need them immediately.
Right,
so I took him to Deacon Tam. The cart was all the way out the door going. I said, you see what I'm talking about? I said, we cannot, if you want us to succeed, if you want your patients to do well, we have to have people to do the job.
We need them. That's what we need. And you know, Ms. Greene Golden, for those people trying to enter our industry, you know, and hopefully the people will be knocking down your doors, Tanya, real soon.
I pray.
We putting it out there. What can we do as educators to train them better to avoid some of these Sentinel events, these Sentinel mishaps? What can we do as leaders?
You know, it comes down to education, but the person has to be willing to learn what you're teaching. And so everybody is not a good fit for sterile processing.
That's true.
They want to send us the people from the kitchen. They some good people, but you know, they're not all fit to be in sterile processing. What we have found as we have grown, and as Monique and Tanya are saying, that as a professional, there's a standard and there is a requirement, and we expect to have a certain person. You have to be able to understand and to perform what you've been taught. And it's not about having a body. We've got to get away from having a body. We got 25 people. Out of 25 people, only 5 of them can really work. The others not even help. You need to let that 20 go, because the 5 are killing themselves to try to do quality work, and the 20 are just riding. So as leaders, we have to be able to do the hard job of letting people go. We don't like to let people go, and we're getting better. We used to accept everybody. Everybody can come be on my team. No. When I pick my team, I need a team that's going to function.
That's right.
So, right. Arlene is an educator. Arlene can jump in here and tell us what do you look for.
And you know what?
Go to
Arlene, I wanted to ask you, Arlene, and I know you're a sports person, right? And baseball, 3 strikes, you're out. What about SPD? How many mistakes is too many mistakes? How many mistakes?
Exactly. How many is too many? How much did it cost? How bad did it affect the patient? Was it, imminent death? Was it, we just burned the liver? Was it, unnoticeable? We caught it before it was a defect. They noticed, this tray is missing, an intricate piece. We need another tray before we even start the case. But I can't ring it home enough for people in sterile processing. Because you work in a healthcare facility, you may fall out in that healthcare facility. You may have a code, and everything that crosses your table or your decon sink or your washer disinfector could very well be used on you, because you spend so much time in this building.
Yes.
So yes. I try to reiterate that to people, but I can't. We can't lose sight of what we do, right? We have to keep that spark even when the carts are out the door and around the corner. We have to stay vigilant. And we sometimes have to be the motivators, right, for our technicians who are,
that's right.
I'm not feeling it today. I had a rough week. I've got a lot going on at home, but I need you here. I need to hear. And the patient who this tray is going to be used on would really appreciate your full attention when you're assembling this tray.
Yes.
Say loud.
You're not watching your cell phone. You're not talking about what happened yesterday or last week. Your full attention is on the assembly of this tray, or the decontamination of this tray, or the sterilization of this tray, because that patient is worth it.
Yes. Veronica put in here, she said, what about, I guess in some places, some SPDs, they push the mistakes under the rug. I believe in transparency. I got the liver on the screen tonight. My team is they so mortified. They're like, please, Ms. Golden, every time we make a mistake, you write an article, you're putting the pictures up on the show. I said, because transparency. We make mistakes that have the ability to kill somebody. Do you know, if that liver does not regenerate and that patient gets an infection and she doesn't get better, she has the ability to die, thanks to you not using the insulation tester on all of the instruments.
Do your job, do it right. Ask questions. Is not one, ask them twice.
Yeah.
Now, this has been a motivating show for me, and I want to thank all of you for jumping on. And we have a thing called hot seat questions, right? And one of the hot seat questions I want to put out there, because tomorrow, envision this, tomorrow someone's going to be interviewed for a job in cell processing. Somewhere in this country, someone's going to be interviewed for a job. Someone else is going to be interviewing them. What for the interviewer, Monique, what tips are you going to give them? How do you prep this person for what's about to take place in a few hours, depending on their time zone?
I say Google sterile processing. Google it. Know exactly what you're seeking to do. Don't just say you want to be a healthcare professional thinking that you're going to make a whole lot of money. That's not what's going to happen. What is it that you're trying to do? Don't come to the interview and you have no knowledge about sterile processing. One thing I can't stand is for somebody to come in my office and say, can I have a job in sterile processing? I say, what is it that we're doing in here? Mm-hmm. And if you can't articulate that, I send you right out the door and say, go do some research and come back and tell me if this is what you want to do for your future. If you're really about this work, I want to know what this work does. Who does this work take care of?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. Some of us work in the sterile processing. It wasn't a mistake or mishap. We intended to be here. Ms. Tanya, what advice you got for that person about to be interviewed tomorrow?
I'm hard. I have to say it. I have to say that I'm hard. And that might be why I don't have any applicants, but I'm just saying I have to stress it. I have to stress that they have to love themselves. They have to have some kind of a conscience to come and work in sterile processing. Mm-hmm. It's not just you just come in here and you wash a little this and you rinse it off and you wrap it up and you put it in this machine. That's not what it's about. They have to have a conscience. And I am the person that's willing to get in there with my people and work every single day, because we don't have any people, because I would rather be in there working with them than to have somebody to come in there that doesn't know anything and doesn't care. We have to care about what we're doing every single day.
You heard it. Don't approach that interview and make the mistake or mishap and not doing your due diligence. Ms. Arlene Bush, what do you say for this person about the interview tomorrow?
I want my person to be open, a sponge. I can't stress enough that you need to be open to learning our background. I do want them to come in with some sort of research, that they've researched the position. This is what they're signing up for. Yeah. When I interview people, I say, you're interviewing for a position in sterile processing, right? And they're like, sterile what? Sterile what? Where are you located in the hospital? You're in the same building? Yes, we are. We're normally in the basement, somewhere near the loading dock, something to that effect. But I need somebody to, don't come in and be like, we're washing dishes. We're washing instrumentation that saves lives.
That's right.
Sometimes we have good outcomes. Sometimes we have bad outcomes. Good comes with bad, right? Yes, but really is when we have our mishaps, if you will, we need to understand how we're never going to be here again. So I tell interviewees, like, why do you want to be in sterile processing?
Yes.
Okay.
What brought you to this interview? What made you want to apply for this job?
Right.
Was it all the skills and abilities you read in the job description that said, yes, I could do that? Or were you just curious about what happens over there behind them closed doors, and everybody got to cover their hair and wear shoe covers and cover their arms? That looks like fun. Let's go hang out in there.
Miss Greene Golden, what do you say to this person about the interview tomorrow?
I say that I concur with everybody that you come already knowing. Now, I'm a little different in that I put into my job description that you cannot come and work for me unless you've already, number one, had a course. Number two, I need you certified or certified eligible within 6 months. I don't want you. I give people the opportunity to work, but if you come to me in an interview and you tell me that you've already done this, COVID stopped us for 2 years, but we've just started back up to face-to-face interviews.
Yeah.
I'm pulling out that 10-pound plastic tray. Hello, you want to work here? I'm going to need you to put this tray together. And I'm going to sit back and watch you.
There you go.
Look, if you don't flush the Frasers, strike one. You didn't check your instruments for workability, strike two.
Yeah.
There's no indicator in your trade, strike three. You can't work for me.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Yeah.
There you have it. Mistakes and mishap here on Knowledge and Nonsense. We're going to take a short commercial break and be right back. Scrubble. Listen, if you didn't make it last year,
I didn't.
Your mistake, your mishap. Right? You have an opportunity to redeem yourself. It's gonna be an amazing event. It's gonna be an amazing event.
It really was a nice event, you all. If you're able to come, I know with the they're saying on the news with the gas prices going up, we need to buy all our airplane tickets now. Buy a ticket, come to Dallas.
When is it?
When's
it's in
June.
We're Monique, we're sending you a personal invite.
Yes.
We're so excited that you are taking the challenge to run for president of our dearest. So come on out.
June 1st through the 4th.
Come
June 1st through the 4th.
Come meet your future constituencies. It was so much learning, so much insight, so much fun. And it's another landmark in our industry. And we have people from all different races and different hospitals, different from dentists to technicians, from nurses.
Oh wow,
to vets, So the Scrub Board 2022 is gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So this in summary, someone on second shift, what time is it? Going into third shift, has made a mistake tonight, and is a little concerned. Was it a mistake or mishap? Own your stuff, right? And depending on the level of the concern, leadership also has some responsibility. If you're not training your people before sending them to the line of fire, shame on you. What's your message to leaders? I'm talking about, I consider a leader a lead tech on up. What's your message for leaders before we depart on this episode of Knowledge and Nonsense?
I just want to say that as a leader, it's your responsibility to, number one, first know what your team members are doing. And you cannot know that in the office.
Come on now.
You cannot know that in the office with the door shut. My office happens to be on the clean side. The door is open, and I listen for the insulation tester noise. Beep, beep. I say, I'm not here. Are y'all checking the insulation? Because I don't hear no beep, beep. So, so then they know I'm coming out because I can't hear. So now I've got to come out. I call it running the floor.
Yeah.
I run the floor. I am out there. I need to see what you're doing. I come stand next to you. I will show you. I will help you. I will guide you. This is what we have to do. And I know my people that aren't doing things right. I stand by them all the time. They just like, could you go somewhere else? No, I need to stand with you because you always make mistakes. Even though I have integrators on my tracking sheet, it says 2. Your trade never gets 1.
Yeah.
So I have to know this to stand with that. And then accountability.
That's right.
Exactly.
I'm gonna give you a couple of strikes, then you got to go.
Absolutely.
Because when you don't do it right, it reflects on the whole department.
Yes.
They think we all don't have good sense.
Indeed.
So I have to be willing to let you go. And I want to say to leaders, be willing to let people go. I have never fired anybody, but I have helped people to understand you need to go. It's not the place for you.
Can I chime in just for a minute? Because Sharon, what you're saying is key, and I'm going to talk about it at conference when I do my presentation. But what we fail to understand is the most disruptive people, the toxic ones, are the best performers. They are the ones that pump out those sets. They make no mistakes, but they bring more toxic behavior and energy in the department than anybody. And most leaders are afraid to release that energy from the department because they feel like they're going to be less productive. But what they don't understand is that person who don't make mistakes, their mistake is that they're creating a toxic environment where other people will be more than willing to be just as productive, but you got an enemy in the midst that's creating hostility in the poor work environment. You got to improve that behavior or remove that behavior, and your department will flourish.
I'd rather have somebody doing 10 trays correctly
Come on now.
and have peace
and be
somebody
happy
doing 25 and we fighting.
Right.
Arlene, what say you?
It's a unique balance, right? That you it's pivotal what you will endure or won't endure. And like Sharon Greene Golden said, I've never fired anybody. They have fired themselves.
Yes,
absolutely.
They have showed that there wasn't a commitment. They weren't committed to our patients. They didn't want to pay attention. Their attention to detail wasn't to their tray. It was to what the person next to them was doing. If you've got that much time to watch them, you need to spend more time watching your trays.
Yes.
That's right.
So I think that, we need to be able to identify key performers, get those people to try to, be preceptors, so we can get the other people to where those people are. And sometimes that doesn't always work. And it's a human nature thing. But I like a challenge like that. I'm just saying. I will put myself right next to them. We will be shin to shin all day long. Elbow to elbow. You go to decon, I'm going with you. Let's go. Come on.
Hey. We were short the other day, and I said to the team, I said, hey, I'll help. I said, I'll go to decon. They was like, Lord, no.
Yes.
Come to decon, because they knew if I come to decon, it's on. Because I got questions. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing it like that? Has it been 5 minutes? They're like, please, Miss Golden.
Yes.
Stay out. Stay out.
Decon is my go-to, and nobody wants me back there either.
So we're gonna do a part 2 of this topic, mistakes and mishaps. But I want Tanya to get in there. And what's your message to leadership?
My message to leadership is to be a leader. That's my message. You have to lead your people where you want them to go. Now, like Sharon said, people listen, but they don't hear. But you still have to be that person that's showing them this is the way you do this, and this is why you do it, and this is how you do it. So be a leader. I mean, step up to the plate and do the job that you're supposed to be doing. That's what I can say. But I got to say this one thing. Listen, y'all need to come on to San Antonio.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
I'm just saying, come on down there.
Bring y'all 2 steps. Some of us we gonna bring out 1 step, but come and represent.
23rd to the 27th. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we all need to be in San Antonio because that's where it's happening. We're coming down. We got a name
now.
Yeah,
we haven't been in face to face for 2 years, so we're jazzed up and ready to go this year.
Yes.
Better than ever with our new name.
The boots and the cowboy hats.
That's right.
And Monique is speaking. What day are you speaking, Monique?
It's called Leadership. Who wants to follow you?
What day?
It's going to be on Tuesday, the 26th, I believe. Okay. Yes.
And I'm speaking on Monday morning at 8:30. I expect everybody to be at the session. I'm speaking on the symbiotic cognition of mental health in sterile process.
Come on, let's talk about it.
Listen now, you heard it.
Let's talk about it.
You heard it right here on Knowledge and Nonsense. We're looking forward to all of these conferences in person, and we will see you in San Antonio, and we will also see you in Dallas, Texas. Sharon Combs is speaking that Tuesday as well. So I want to thank our panelists, my co-host tonight, our guests who tuning in.
Yes, thank you.
Your time and your efforts, and keep saving lives, SPD, CS Nation. No, you matter. In the words of Miss Tanya Lewis, be a leader. And with that, we're going to sign off tonight. Salute.
Good night. Thank you, ladies.
Good night.
Bye-bye.